Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first ever virtual Hearts of Hope event. We're so glad that you've decided to join us this evening. My name is Phil Beverly, and I'm the Executive Director at New Hope Community Ministries, and this is my co-host, Liz Rodriguez-Smith, and she's our Community Outreach Director. New Hope's mission is to show Christ's love, to build relationships, and to empower people to move from crisis to self-sufficiency. And Liz and I are so excited to share with you how we've been ministering to people during this very challenging time in the last several months. So Liz is going to tell you a little bit about what you can expect from tonight.
Hi everyone, it is so good to be here. Welcome to this event. Tonight, we are going to be giving you an update about how New Hope has been able to minister to people during this pandemic. And you will hear from 3 of our participants who will be sharing with us their story. Also, Phil is going to come and give us a sneak peek of what's coming up at New Hope. But while you are watching this event, you're going to have the opportunity to give to New Hope so we can continue to minister to more people than ever before.
That's right. And at any time during the event, if you feel led to give, all you have to do is click the donate button that's on the page. There will be a form that pops out from the side of the page, and you'll be able to give your gift without sort of leaving the page. You'll still be able to listen in on what's going on and hear the video. So we encourage you to do that at any point. Also, if you're listening on Facebook Live, you can text HOH2020 to 41444. That's HOH2020 to 41444, and you will get a donation form that will pop up via text. So without further ado, I'm excited to share a little bit about what's been going on at New Hope these last few months. Well, 2020 has been quite a year. You know, back in mid-March, I was standing in the food pantry with Grace, our food pantry director, and there was a woman who came to the door and she was looking for some emergency food. This woman was part of our food pantry several years ago, but since that time, she was back on her feet, she had gotten a job, and she was doing okay. She's a single mom, and unfortunately, almost immediately when things started to shut down in March, she was laid off. Shortly after that, with cupboards bare and a refrigerator that was getting emptier by the day, she was wondering where she was going to go in order to put food on the table for her kids. And thankfully, she remembered that New Hope was there for her in a time of crisis before, and she came back, so we were able to help her. As the woman left the facility and had her bag of food, I turned to Grace and we shared our concern that we thought that this woman might be the tip of the iceberg. And fast forward a few months from that point, now here we are in September, and we have seen unemployment surge. We've seen millions of people across the country out of work, struggling for some of the most basic needs. You know, Feeding America is one of the nation's largest domestic hunger relief organizations, and they operate the Community Food Bank of New Jersey, which is where New Hope gets some of its food. They put out a report back in May projecting that nationwide about 17 million people were going to become food insecure because of the economic fallout of this pandemic. They also have a map online which you can look county by county at the rates of food insecurity, and for Passaic County they projected that the number of people who were food insecure was going to increase from 50,000 people pre-COVID to 75,000 people in just a few short months. So what did this look like on the ground at New Hope? Well, let me tell you that in 2019, we distributed groceries equivalent to about 17,000 meals to 550 people throughout the course of the entire year. 17,000 meals to 550 people. During the period between March and August this year, that's a 6-month period, we distributed groceries equivalent to 15,000 meals. We also gave out 3,200 pounds of fresh produce, all to over 800 people. So half the time, about the same amount of food to 250 more people. Well, as you know, New Hope's ministry is far more than just food. We say often that poverty is more than just a lack of resources, it's more than just a lack of food, but it also manifests itself emotionally and spiritually. And that's why we have several other programs that address those needs. So back in March, when everything was shutting down, we had to transition many of our programs onto Zoom, onto Facebook Live, to phone calls and texts. Whatever we could do to keep communication with our participants, we did. We increased the communication with our teens from twice a month to once every week. Liz was doing weekly Facebook Live events with her Women of Hope, and they would be able to comment and write in with prayer requests, and she would be able to pray with them while she was on the stream. And something interesting happened while this was going on, because we had about 80 to 85 women who were coming rather regularly to our in-person Women of Hope events. But now that Women of Hope Facebook group has over 200 active women who are engaged in this ministry. So we've seen some rapid growth there. You know, when graduations were canceled, we held a socially distanced photo shoot with our seniors and did drive-by celebrations so that they could really feel like their accomplishment meant something important. Through persistent communication, we brought community to a place of stay-at-home isolation. And as a result, the 280 people that are spread across the programs of Women of Hope, of New Hope Teen Leaders, Children of Hope, ESL, and Immigration Assistance were given hope. Because the strain of this season is real. Now, we've all felt it, right? It has been such a challenging time. Many of you tuning into this stream either have experienced a layoff or a furlough or know one or two people who have. We make plans in this season and then things change. It's so hard to predict what's going to happen next because things are constantly in flux. You know, back in the spring and even now in September, as schools are reopening and doing virtual learning, many of us as parents have had to figure out how we're going to work from home and help our kids learn remotely at the same time. It's so hard, and I think that most of us could say that at some point in the last several months, all of these tensions have gotten us to a point where we have felt anxieties or frustrations or fears that we have never felt before. And it's put strain on our relationships with our spouses, our kids, and our friends. You know, it's no wonder that the U.S. Census Bureau did a study recently. They did a survey of households across the country. And they estimated in late July that over 40% of Americans were manifesting symptoms of anxiety and depression. 40%. And just as we saw in the food pantry, these national trends that we saw data around were manifesting locally in our food pantry, in the same way, this national mental health situation is really being seen at a local level in our counseling program. So in this year, we have offered 600 counseling sessions to 75 different people. And that is almost to a T the amount of sessions and people that we offered the entirety of 2019. So it's really no exaggeration to say that during this 6-month period, New Hope has done a year's worth of ministry. And we've done it to 400 more people than we served all of last year. In 2019, we served 700 people. This year, we have served 1,100 people. People are desperate for hope right now. I don't have to tell you that this is a time of tremendous pain and struggle. But, and this is really important, this is also a time of tremendous opportunity. Because people are coming to us in unprecedented numbers, and with every single person, we have the chance to show Christ's love, to build relationships, and to empower them to move from crisis to self-sufficiency. But don't just take my word for it. Listen to Maria tell you her story.
My name is Maria Badilla. I know about New Hope because a few years ago a good friend invited me to Women of Hope, a branch of New Hope. At that time, Women's of Hope was taking place on the second Monday of each month. I remember that night was an amazing night for me because I was able to meet other women like me. New Hope means a lot for me in my community because you can find everything that you need in one place. They provide counseling for you, your spouse, and your family. They also have a food pantry, and as I mentioned before, they have the women's hub. But the more important aspect about New Hope is the people who work there, who are worried about our community and all the needs that our community has. New Hope gave me the opportunity to meet Liz. Liz being a maid and a blessing for me and my family. She's been inspiring me to be a better person. She's been teaching me how to be happy, even though the world around me is a disaster. I love how she's taking care of everybody who comes to her. I love her faith and how she's seen the life. New Hope has been a blessing for me and my family, with the food pantry, with the backpacks giveaway, and especially when I broke my finger. Women's Hope provides us with a meal every Thursday for a month. In addition, Felipe has been helping my pre-teenager son, who has been going through emotional and behavior change that has been challenging us as a parent to deal with them in a healthy way. Felipe has been advised him without judging. Felipe has been asked to understand better why sometimes he acted in certain ways that bother us as a parents, and inspiring us to increase our communication with our kids. As a couple, Felipe also has been helping us to communicate each other and helping us to focus on how to deal with our difference as a couple in different areas. New Hope has been a blessing for me, my family, and our community.
It is so good to see how God has worked in Maria's life. You know, when I first met Maria, she was going through difficult situations that was affecting her emotionally. But as Maria continued to come to Women of Hope and got more involved in the programs that New Hope offered, Maria and the rest of her family were able to receive the help that they needed. Thank you so much, Maria, for sharing with us how New Hope has been a blessing to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story. You know, we would really be remiss at this point in the evening if we didn't stop and say thank you to all of you who are tuning into the stream, and just emphasize that stories like Maria's are really the tangible outcomes of your gifts. Your support this year and in years past has meant so much, and it is the reason that these stories happen. So thank you so much for investing in New Hope every single year. We really just also want to specifically thank our sponsors for this evening, who have made all of this possible. You can scroll down on the event page at any time and see the list of all of our sponsors. Thank you so much for your support.
And there are a few sponsors that we want to recognize this evening, especially the HBS Fund and Brainstone, who are our crystal sponsors of the evening. Thank you so much for your support. Actually, now we're going to be able to hear from one of our sponsors, Brainstone, who prepared a special message for us tonight.
I'm Josh Brain of Brainstone and Brain Supply. For over a decade, we've been blessed to be a part of the transformational work New Hope has been providing to the Prospect Park and Haledon neighborhoods. 2020 has brought us unprecedented challenges, but we know that our God is bigger than anything we've seen. Right now is the time to rise up and support New Hope. Their food pantry and counseling services are meeting people at their basic needs for such a time as this.
Thanks again to Brainstone and all of our sponsors. Now we get to hear from another New Hope participant. Her name is Leah, and she's going to be sharing with us her experience with the food pantry and the other programs that New Hope offers. After Leah shares her story, Phil is going to come up and give us a sneak peek of what's happening at New Hope in the near future.
Hello, my name is Leah. I've been a client in New Hope since it was at Bridgeway Church on Haledon Ave. Ever since my kids were little, I've gone to food pantries not only in Haledon, but Patterson, Mahwah, and wherever I could find one. I've worked all my life up until I became disabled about 7 years ago. But back then, I had full-time jobs as well as a lot of temp jobs, which would leave me unemployed between assignments. If it weren't for the food pantries to help us get by, my poor kids wouldn't have been eating very well. I've been a single parent from when my oldest was 5 years old, my youngest just 3 months old. I've been familiar with New Hope for quite some time. It wasn't until the past several years that I became involved with volunteering at the pantry after they relocated from Clinton Street to North 11th Street in Prospect Park. I found that New Hope was by far the best pantry in the area. The food, the clients, the staff, everything about it was great. I found it was not only a source of providing food for my family, but a place where I made friends and got a spot volunteering there twice a month. I became good friends with Grace Kuipers, Food Pantry Director, Liz Rodriguez-Smith, Community Outreach Director, as well as a few other people that were either clients or volunteers. Grace and Liz are always there to speak to about anything, ask for advice, or just hang out in good conversation. Emma Thompson is one of the clients here, but is also a leader in the Women of Hope group. Her and I have developed a really great friendship, and if it weren't for the food pantry, I never would have met her. We shop, go to doctors, go out to eat, we yell at each other, we laugh, we cry, call each other, and I kind of consider her my adopted mom. It's truly a friendship that I treasure. When I first started to volunteer, I told Grace that I wasn't sure if I could take the clients around because I was concerned about not adding up the points as I took them shopping. But Grace gave me the confidence that I needed just to try it. I find that in dealing with the clients, I like to joke, make them laugh, ask about the families, give them rides sometimes, and help them however I can. Regardless of the pandemic, I feel New Hope has always been here to provide food for my family. Of course, it helps a lot at this time, though, because of the lack of certain things in the stores where we may be able to get supplies from the pantry that aren't otherwise available to buy. So far, it has been a blessing for what they've been providing, such as the fresh veggies we get, to cereal, frozen meats, the microgreens they're incorporating into our bags, and all the other foods in between that have been provided to us as clients that I otherwise wouldn't usually buy. It's been really great. One program I was asked to be involved with is working on the healthy foods team. I've been helping to create a recipe book. I can't tell you how good that makes me feel. Like I'm working again and doing something I truly love. It really gives me a sense of purpose again, something I really miss being a secretary all my life. I love collecting recipes, and I believe I provided a majority of the recipes for the book. I also did the proofreading on the first draft that needed correction, and we'll be doing it again before it goes online, another something I've always enjoyed. I'm really excited to share the recipes with the other clients soon. I can't thank New Hope enough for giving me this opportunity to be part of the volunteers who work so hard to help our clients. It's something to always look forward to, and I can't wait till we can all get together again and to help serve our clients, not only to provide them with food, but to socialize and make friends. That's the best part.
Well, one of the things I really love about Leah's story is how she became a volunteer at New Hope. So she was in a position in which she was receiving help and receiving food, but her story, like so many other people at New Hope, did not end there. Because even though Leah still needs some extra food at the end of the month, she right now has gifts to share with others. We have this consistent process at New Hope in which we identify strengths and gifts in our participants, and we invite them to serve alongside us. And this is a tremendously powerful process. It is an act of recognition in people that are still struggling. While you're still struggling, you still are uniquely positioned and uniquely gifted by God to help others. And it is really what calls out to them the inherent dignity that God has placed in them. It's one of the reasons we recruit volunteers from our participant community, and it's also why we are striving to employ as many participants as we can. And I'm excited to share that this year we have been able to do that on a number of occasions. First, there's Esther. Esther is a leader in several of our programs, and for the last several months she's been cleaning our building. Now, probably more than anyone else, Esther has been responsible for keeping New Hope in a sanitary environment so that it's clean and that we can continue to operate during this time of crisis. And she's done an amazing job. And then there's Antonio. Antonio is one of our teens, and he had never had a job before the summer. And in the beginning of the summer, we reached out and we said, hey, if you come down and cut our grass a couple times a month, we'll pay you for that. And he had never cut grass before, so we had to teach him how to use a lawnmower. But he's been doing a great job this summer, and he actually just got another job in landscaping because of what he learned at New Hope. And then there's Vince. Vince and his family have lived in our community for many years and has participated in some of our programs in years past. And for this past year, Vince has been one of our full-time AmeriCorps workers, and he has been doing a great job behind the scenes, building systems at New Hope that are going to help us reach more people more deeply in the future. And then finally, there is Diego. Diego is one of our former New Hope teen leaders. He's a sophomore at Ramapo College, and he's studying business. And this summer, he has been interning at New Hope. And towards the end of the summer, we actually were able to bring Diego on staff formally, and he's working part-time as a food pantry program assistant. You know, within a couple of months of joining the team, Diego had this awesome idea in which he conceived of an online ordering tool so that our food pantry participants could order and customize the pre-packed bags that we are distributing on Saturdays. So in this season of pre-packed bags and curbside pickup, Diego's idea is reintroducing the choice that is such a valued part of our food pantry experience. And so I'm so excited about this dynamic. I could talk all night about how important it is to have volunteers from our participant base and to employ participants, but I'm going to digress and just tell you that in about 10 minutes when I finish, you're going to be able to have the opportunity to watch one final testimony of someone who really exemplifies this process. So stay tuned for that. For now, I just want to be able to share with you a little bit of a sneak peek of what's going to happen in the next few months of ministry. You know, in many ways, this pandemic season that we're in has increased the opportunities that we have for ministry. For example, our New Hope teen leaders are really just not able to gather as much as we would like during this time. And yet they really need probably more mentoring now than they have ever needed before, because there are so many things coming at them that they have to process and deal with. So with this in mind, we're actually launching a peer mentorship program this year in which former New Hope teen leaders and other young adults and mentors from the community are going to be walking alongside these teens on a personal, consistent basis, offering support and discipleship. Looking to our younger participants, we are unable to have our Children of Hope meet very often right now in this season. And so the committee of volunteers that has been leading this program for the last few years was talking about how to keep connection with these kids during this time of distancing. And recently they decided to start a pen pal program. Do you remember the pen pal program? Remember pen pals when you were a kid? So every month, one of the committee members is going to write a number of letters to a few different kids and put them in the mail, and just as a way of encouraging them and connecting with them while we're apart. I just want you to think about when the last time was that you received a handwritten letter. How did that, if you can remember that, how did it make you feel? You know, maybe you just need to close your eyes for a second, and I want to ask you to try and put yourself in the shoes of a 4th grade kid who walks out to the mailbox, you know, gets the mail, and he sees his name on the envelope. He opens it up and he gets to read this very encouraging note from someone who is an adult in the community who respects, and maybe that note says something about him that no one has ever pointed out. Maybe no one but his parents have ever shown him that kind of encouragement. Think about the value that communicates to this young child at such an impressionable age. We have a staff member at the church that I go to who often has said this phrase during the last several months. He says that just because we're socially distant doesn't mean we have to be relationally distant. And in this time of isolation, pen pals and peer mentors are really just two tools that New Hope is using to bring community and support to kids who are isolated behind masks and computer screens. Because we believe that the seeds that we sow in this season of distancing and disruption are going to reap a massive harvest in the future. But what about the parents? You know, many of you tuning in tonight are parents. I'm a parent myself. Many of us have had to navigate this crazy world of trying to work from home and also help our kids learn remotely. This caused massive disruption back in the spring, and many of the challenges are still persisting because so many districts are opening virtually this fall. And there's another layer of challenge for many of our participants who really didn't have the option to work from home. So this fall, our parenting classes are going to be focused on helping parents be equipped with tools and strategies so that they can help their kids learn from home. You see, we see that every crisis is also an opportunity for ministry. Now, don't get me wrong. We are heartbroken over the situation that we are facing as a country and as a world right now. We have walked with people who are going through heart-wrenching challenges, and we never would have wished this pandemic season on anyone. But I think we would be blind if we didn't recognize that during this same season of challenge, there has also been an increase in the harvest of people who are searching for hope, who are willing to make meaningful change in their lives. That the number of people who are looking to God or willing to receive differences in how you navigate conflict in your marriage, or willing to make changes to the way their spending habits are, has just increased exponentially. There's so many more people that are looking for hope now than there were back in February. And when we go into the future and we look into the future, that is really where we are going. You know, before COVID even hit, there were over 4,000 people in Prospect Park and Haledon combined who lived in households whose income would qualify them for food assistance. Earlier tonight, I said that we have served about 1,100 people this year. So that is roughly 25% of the people who pre-COVID needed help. And while I am so excited about the fact that you have helped resource us and God has equipped us to reach more people than ever before this year, I also have to say that 25% is just not enough. That it is not enough to leave 75% of the people who need our help in this community without a resource here in Prospect Park and Haledon because we simply don't have the capacity. You know, it's not enough to say with a God that is as big as our God that we are just too small. Because it's not about us. And when we envision the future, we envision a future in which every single person in our community who is seeking help can find it here at New Hope. That everyone who is struggling to put food on their plates can come here and get assistance and get food and a lifeline for their family. That every single person who is new to the country, who is isolated and struggling with the language or caught in the immigration system can come to us and help us, and we can help them move from margins of society to a place of connection. That every couple who is worn out and exhausted from the day after day struggle and the bickering, those couples who are ready to give up, that they wouldn't go to a divorce lawyer, but they would be able to come to New Hope and receive hope and restore their marriage so that their kids can grow up in homes that are whole. You see, this isn't about numbers. It's not about checking off a box that we served 4,000 people one time. There are no short-term solutions in our line of work. New Hope is a relationship-driven, Christ-inspired, persistent, and incarnational presence in our community. And we are committed to the long-term, messy, difficult, but beautiful work of helping someone move from a place of poverty and isolation and struggle to a place of hope and flourishing. Because when you see that transformation take place in front of your eyes, when you see someone bloom into the person that God has created them to be right in front of your face, you can't help but earnestly desire that transformation for everyone you meet. And that is our motivation for growth. That is why we want to reach more people than we've ever reached before. And now as I close, I want to invite you to listen to one final testimony of someone who I believe embodies this transformation and someone who is blooming into the person God created them to be right in front of our eyes.
My name is Francesca and I am an employee here at New Hope. I first heard of New Hope when I was in high school. My parents were part of their ESL classes and I joined their New Hope Teen Leaders program. Later, after I graduated the New Hope Teen Leadership Program, I joined their Women of Hope group and I was part of their committee, and I also became a youth group leader for their teens group. Last year, I started working as an intern here at New Hope. I was having some difficult times at home. I just had left my house because I was having a hard time getting along with my parents, and I started living with my ex-boyfriend. And my mom actually reached out to Liz, which was my youth group leader growing up, and she was also the head person of the Women of Hope committee I was a part of.
Francesca went from being afraid of praying because she didn't know how to pray to leading women in prayer at the Women of Hope committee. Francesca went from being discipled to discipling other people. It's a blessing for me to be able to witness this and such a young person.
Liz reached out to me just to make sure that I was okay and to see how she can help me. And Liz actually connected me with Phil, which offered me a part-time position here at New Hope.
So for years we have been talking about how our New Hope teen leaders are people that we would really love to see as the next generation of leaders at New Hope and in our community. And we're so excited because Francesca is really the first one of our New Hope teen leaders to graduate college and to move into the workforce. So this is really our first opportunity to realize this vision, and we're just so happy that God has worked it out that she can join our team.
While I was working here, I was able to connect with Felipe, and he helped me talk to my parents about what was going on at home. We were able to come together as a family, and I was able to go back home, and I was happy. I was working here, I loved my job, and I was back home, and everything was going well. In the beginning of this year, when the pandemic first started, my ex-boyfriend passed away. And it was just a really hard time for me. I was doing really good. I was almost done with school. It was as if like everything just shattered, and I didn't understand why things were happening anymore. I didn't understand like how can someone like so young pass away, or why that was happening to me. I like literally still remember when I received the phone call, and I called Liz, and I was like sobbing, crying so much. I couldn't even like get the words out of my mouth. And then I went to my ex-boyfriend's parents' house, and then Phil called me to like give me his condolences. It meant so much to me, the support that I received from my job and just the community that I built through my job. I used to talk to Liz all the time, and Phil used to send me like Christian music that I used to like pray to and listen to. And even just beyond the people that work with me, but just even the teens that I was like a leader for, they would text me and ask me if I was doing okay. And the women from Women of Hope would like tell me that they're praying for me. And it meant a lot to me to see that the people that I felt like I was helping were there for me when like I needed people the most. Today I am a college graduate. I finished my bachelor's in August, and I started a full-time position here at New Hope in September. And I'm just tremendously grateful for my job, for the community that I was able to build here, for the people that I work with. I love being here. I feel like this is my home. Being at New Hope has just brought me not just the support of my community, but the support of God, because even when I do feel like I don't want to share with people what's happening to me, I know that I can pray to God, and I know that my faith is always going to be there. They have helped me just grow in my faith and know that regardless of what I'm going through, I'm not alone, and that I have them just like I have God.
So when we look ahead, we are just excited to be able to repeat the process that has been going on with Francesca over the last few years, with future generations, future teen leaders that graduate and are looking for jobs. And we think that if we can develop more leaders from within this community, that they can find this hope in Christ, and that from that foundation, they can move on to help this entire community flourish. Well, tonight we have had a chance to glimpse the amazing work that God has been doing through New Hope this year. Let me state clearly that without your phenomenal financial support already in 2020, we would have missed a massive opportunity. But because you have given so generously already this year, we have been able to reach 1,100 people with God's hope for them. So thank you so much. And now we're just going to invite you to consider once again making a gift so that we can continue to work with those in our community and continue to grow to meet the rising need. You can do this in a couple of ways. You can click the donate button right on the event page, and you can give that way. Or if you want to give on your phone, you can text HOH2020 to 41444, and a donation form will be texted right to you. So we'll give you a minute to consider making a gift. And while you consider this, we're going to invite you to listen to a musical offering by one of our board members, Brielle Ocott. Right after the song, we'll be back with you with some final words.
Do you feel the world is broken? And do you feel the darkness deepen? But do you know that all the dark won't stop the light from getting through? Do you wish that you could see it all made new? We do. Is all creation groaning? And is a new creation coming? And is the glory of the Lord to be the light within our midst? Now is it good that we remind ourselves of this? It is. Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave, he is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slave. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy of this? He is. Does the Father truly love us? And does the Spirit move among us? And does Jesus, our Messiah, hold Does our God intend to dwell again with us? Oh, yes, He does. Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave, He is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slain. From every people and tribe, every nation and tongue, He has made us a kingdom and priests to God, to reign with the Son. So is He worthy? Is He worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is He worthy of this? Oh, yes, He is. He is. He is worthy. He is worthy. He is. He is worthy. He is worthy.
Thank you so much, Brill, for that musical offering. That was beautiful. You know, it really took a community of volunteers to pull this event tonight. But we especially want to thank Will Taylor, who was our videographer of the evening, and Pastor Jeremy Mulder, who edited much of the content. Thank you so much. But we also want to thank each one of you who have been watching and have been making donations throughout the night. We truly appreciate your support, and we know that God is going to use your gift to continue to minister to more people than ever before.
That's right. And we also just want to thank again our sponsors for this evening for making this possible. Thank you for your partnership and your continued support. Now, I would just love to close this evening with a word of prayer. Let's pray. Dear Father in heaven, we are just so thankful for this night to be able to share what's been going on at New Hope. We just want to glorify you for the work that you've been doing in this community this year. Lord, I'm so thankful for all of the people who are giving sacrificially so that your kingdom can advance. I am so thankful for the community that you have placed us in to do ministry. Lord, we are just blown away by how amazing you are, and we ask that you would continue to equip us to move this ministry forward in the years ahead. So thank you so much. In your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen. Thank you, everyone, and good night.